But man, I love music videos, man. Like if like music videos, especially if you have a brilliant track.
Yeah.
Oh my
You
goodness.
can have so much fun with it.
It gets to a point.
Welcome to the Sit Down, where we have conversations with creators from across this beautiful motherland of ours. My name is Mark Omboya, filmmaker and an all-round story lover. And today we're sitting down with Ray Otieno, aka Ray, who's an amazing editor. His work ranges from working with artists and editing commercials for brands such as Safaricom, artists such as Sauti Sol, Blinky Bill, Mayonde. We're talking about ads for brands such as Airtel, Land Rover, Coca-Cola, Chrome Vodka, Kopbank, good. The list is endless. So sit down. I can't remember what I was supposed to say. What is the other one?
Sit down and settle in.
Oh! So I want to say thank you so much for joining us on this session.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I think I had a lot of fun on that podcast part and just going through all the madness, and everything that it has taken for you to get to where you are.
Man.
It's I would say it's the best story I've had since we started this podcast. And I think part of that is the reason why we're having this sit down and why we thought, okay, it would be amazing to sit down and have these conversations with creators within Kenya and outside of Kenya, because they're amazing stories, man. That people never get to hear, especially in our industry of creatives. You know, people see the end product and that's what they judge you. Judge you. Like, he can shoot well, he can edit well, but to understand the person almost makes everything that you watch from them even that more interesting. You know.
Yeah.
Because there's a life behind that.
I know, man. It's interesting.
And so how do you end up choosing what style to use in what edit? And how do you end up choosing what's the right way to tell the story and not the other way?
So the initial stage would always begin now when obviously you get the script from the director, and most of the times, in fact, even we'd sit down and just talk. Yeah. So the initial phase would be that interaction of me taking the director's idea and sort of trying to match it with a certain style of editing, because you can tell certain stories where it would be really flashy and fast, for instance, type of like a montage per se. And then you would be telling other stories where you would need like a little bit more time just to sort of highlight a particular action or what the cast might be saying. So when I normally get into the timeline first, I'd always look for music, right? So music that would make me feel in that particular type of way.
And that's I've had this from different editors, and I get editing it's almost like making music. I get it. But why is music such a strong influence for editors? So
you see now, for instance, say if I'm working on something that I want to be very emotional, I'm bound to get the beats of the cut if I'm working with a track that mentally puts me in a position. I don't know if you follow chill hop and those guys.
Yeah, I follow chill hop.
Yeah. So if I'm editing something very like emotional, I wanted to like sort of heighten emotion, I would put that in my background always, because then sort of gives me like a beat how long the shot would be. So others would be short, others would be longer. I wouldn't time it exactly where I would want it to be, but just literally just pace it out based on the mood I'm getting from the song. So when I cut like that, it allows me to either stretch out a shot for a bit of time if I feel it holds for long, or if I feel it needs to be just a bit. It gives me that emotive state of mind to be able to sort of just to be able to arrange it in a certain way, because they'll never be the same in terms of clip sizes and duration.
For sure. From what I know, a bulk of your work has leaned a lot towards commercials and a good sense music videos as well.
Yeah.
What are the skill sets that one needs to be able to become a good commercial editor, and what are the skill sets that you feel are more pronounced when you're a music video editor? What are the skill sets that you feel like you need for these two categories?
I would say the skill sets you would need for being a commercial video editor particularly is you have to be very organized.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Organized.
Yeah.
So you would get the footage, but it all boils down to also how you would just arrange it in your project. And go down to the nitty-gritties now. So and you're gonna be doing a lot of editing in a very short span of time. So if you're doing commercial work, this even goes to, you need to be very organized, because then that really helps in you being able to find your footage quickly. Because at some point you're gonna be with a client who maybe the preferred take was take 5, but you're gonna be with a client who's gonna like take 3. So you always have to have those things at the tip of your fingers, because most of the times they won't wait. Every time a client has to spend more time editing with you, that's the first way that the industry will kick you out. And those are just the harsh realities that come with it. So the deadlines are very intense, so you're going to have to really be quite organized in every single aspect that you choose to sort of operate in. Time factor, very disciplined on renders as well.
Yeah.
And then always just like make a template of, so if you've already been briefed, just have a template and have like an edit reference that you already would envision what the final film would be like. Yeah, so I'd say, man, that's it. Like commercials are all, like most of the time it's just about meeting your deadlines. So you can't be told the deadline is Monday and you say you need more time. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So that's the commercial sense. Music video, you can have a little bit more leverage, but also music videos really depend with the artist, you know. Because in a music video you have yourself as an editor, and then you would have the artist, and then you would have the director. And I think it's very important for everyone to be involved in, especially after maybe we have a first draft. Yeah. It's always very important for everybody to be involved in the rest. I always open the table once I have my first cut to change. If it's a change that makes sense, then yeah. If it doesn't, then we won't do it. Yeah. But I feel that also always just adds creative ideas, because music artists also come with really cool ideas, but at times the budget is not
does not apply, does not meet the standard of the ideas.
So, that happens a lot in the music industry. Yeah. So you just pick a point where you also have to contain your artist along lines of what you can work with. But man, I love music videos, man. Like if like music videos, especially if you have a brilliant track.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
You can have so much fun with it.
Rumba imetamba, sauti soli na dieri ya kumechacha. Karibuni kwenye extravaganza, Benzoli alipofika alifunika. Wakaja na madrama, sinema zetu ni telenovela. Wakasunda mizinga, hawakujua situko mavela. Wakaita polisi, kumbe polisi pia ni shabiki.
I mean, that video was a hit.
It was a great video. him as well.
I mean, the song was amazing. Yeah, definitely the song. But that video was an amazing. How do you approach such a project, knowing first the level of the artist, how much weight has been put in that video? Because I feel like for them it was a big moment within their own career as a group to introduce this new arm of theirs and what their future looks like. How do you tackle such an important video?
So I'm not gonna go back to saying the same thing that I told you before, but I can tell you the first thing that comes on top of my mind is, man. So I remember when the track was sent. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
That's I can just tell you like raw how it happened. So Bithi called, asked if I was keen on jumping on it. I was like, yeah, man.
Yeah.
So he sent me the track, and I started listening to it. So this track reminds me of like an old track my dad used to love playing on his old Peugeot, man.
Yeah.
I think it's just something they've used that resonates with it, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
But it has that string vibe going on that starts with it. I remember the moment I had it, man. I was jamming to the song. I was driving to the supermarket, and I had it over and over again. This was before it came out. So as I'm listening to it, I'm just seeing like, man, there's so many potential ways of catching this, because the track itself, because it had very different artists who they were bringing on board. So every different artist was coming in with like a different type of vibe. So when we were trying to figure it out, we figured how about we create like a solo vibe around each artist, but also like highlighting their own type of personality. So it doesn't, as much as they come off as a group, we also have individual characters and they do their individual scenes, but also just have scenes of them dancing separately.
I get just one question though, because even though you are handling post, is it common for you to be involved so early in a project? Like,
yeah, it was
conceptualization. Is it a common thing for an editor to be involved so early in the process?
You have to.
Okay, why is that? What's the case?
You have to, because
most people assume it's short, and then they're like, "Yo,
no. So okay, maybe the editor would not be involved in the script phase of it.
Yeah.
When the script writing is happening.
Yeah.
But once the script is a go, whether it's a movie or whether it's a music video, you have to involve your editor in the process, because at the end of the day, your editor sort of would even assist you in the shooting process as well, if there's certain shots that you might need. So you're better off involving them from the start, because even if there's certain aspects of maybe effects you might want to achieve, it would be better to have your visual effect artist, for instance, there on set. So then it would sort of just help the editor understand the concept from the visualization stage. Because when you just bring footage, for me, I feel, so for instance, if I was called today and sent the track today and given the footage tomorrow, I would have had to edit something which maybe isn't in sync with what was the previous idea. Maybe I would have started with a shot that the director wasn't thinking about and we didn't have that conversation. So maybe I would have a different opener. So you see, generally we wouldn't be at par mentally when it comes on the timelines. There would be so many mistakes generally. Because the idea from the conception, I haven't been involved. Especially for something like a music video, it's really not script based. Most music videos are very look based.
Yeah.
So you would know the looks you want to do, but then it's if it's not a story script where you would have like something in chronological order necessarily. In some instances, yes, but not necessarily in every music video. So that gives you a lot of creative freedom, because the video can go in direction. So I feel like if you're involved from the initial stage, then there's room for you to sort of nurture the project better.
Iki audition, it was no. I said, no, one day I'm gonna have my own TV show. Unaambiwa manos nyingi mpaka unaanza kuona kama you're a failure. Life ni kama stairs. you have to learn. Ukipanda stairs moja, chukua mtu mwingine umpandishe mahali ulikuwa umesimama. Every time I'm on stage, what I see is one big laugh, one big love. And that's my prayer, that we're going to have one happy, big Kenyan family.
For 18 years, we've been part of your story, through good times and hard times, never giving up and never giving in. Tuko nawe kila wakati.
I mean, was that approach different when do you have direct involvement in the initial process, or is it something that comes after when you're dealing with something, a commercial for a brand such as Safaricom?
So when it comes to a project like this, I was involved before the shoot.
Yeah.
By the director. But now you don't have as much time, I would say, now as compared to a music video, because this was a job now. So for a job, you would get a call a few days from the shoot, and then you would have a meeting with the director where you would go over all the scripts. And the director, so normally in a production like this, you would have a director's treatment, which would be the guide for the entire, which would be a guide for the entire film.
Yeah.
So the director treatment is pretty straightforward most of the time, because it's very directional. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to edit in. This is what you need to edit out. So how that film is, the ad is exactly how it was written and how it was supposed to be. So it's very curated. Yeah, and then also, like for that particular project, I was working with Fairtrain Films and the post-production house, Africa Post Office. So in the event, like a project like that, I work under a post-production producer, right? And then, like this one was very different. I was on set all day, so I was editing on set. Yeah, the camera was rolling. We would shoot a scene and I would cut it there.
Wow.
And then, and then we would go and shoot the next scene.
Is it because the client wants to see how the final look will be?
No, we had crazy deadlines.
Yeah.
And this one was particularly celebrating Safaricom's birthday. So you see, that's on a fixed date.
Yeah.
For celebrating 18 years.
Yeah.
So by the time we were getting the brief, our deadlines were nuts.
Yeah.
So I think we had finished shooting maybe on a Friday, and we had to have an edit. It was going on air on Monday. That was when that's how crazy it was.
That's intense. Is it a common thing for the commercial world to be that intense?
Oh yeah. Oh, of course, it's that intense. So we shot for I think 7-8 days, and we were traveling around Kenya. So we would shoot, and then me and the director would sit down at night and edit. Literally, the card would come off the camera, the DIT guy would dump it, and then I would start cutting. So by the end of the day, you need to have at least a rough edit or a subcut. Then you can sort of finesse it from there.
You mentioned something about having a post-producer, and what is the experience like when you have to be able to, you're directly involved, or when you have sort of an overseer? Does the working relationship change? Does how you manage and edit change?
I think there's a huge difference. I think having a post-producer is really cool.
Yeah.
I think it should be done everywhere.
Yeah. And what does a post-producer do exactly? Probably for someone who...
post-producer is basically... she's the one who would handle the entire schedule of whatever you're working on in post from the start to the end.
Yeah.
So say if you have 10 days, she would be the one to allocate and have that chat with you as the editor on how many days you would need to execute something, and then she would put it on the general calendar.
Yeah. And
she would also set up presentation meetings between you and the client, and she would also handle the feedback that you would be getting, any necessary feedback that needs to happen on the edit. She would be the one who would sort of consolidate them and send them down to you, as well as your payment.
Which is amazing. Yeah.
So you see, I think that sort of really takes the toll off you as the as an editor, because then at least you just focus on the creative bit, which is cutting, rather than having to deal with the back end. Because the projects that I've done on my own, I really never enjoy dealing with the back end, because the times when you want to edit, someone is calling you. It just becomes, or there's an email that might come, but since you're doing these changes, you're not able to see, so you finish the change, or maybe something changed in between. Because in the commercial world, things are subject to change instantly. So you might be doing something, but maybe it changed a second ago, so you don't need to do it anymore. So you need someone who's just like a bridge between the two of you, who's not creatively involved in it as well.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And with that, I want to say thank you so much, Ray, for having this conversation with us, taking us deep into the world of editing from a personal level into the more technical aspect of it. So I want to say we appreciate you, and thank you so much.
Thank you too for having me, guys. It's been awesome and amazing.
All right. Stay blessed.
Have a lovely evening.
Thank you for watching. Remember, you can catch more of our in-depth conversation with Raymond in our podcast, link in description. See you on the next one.